Grace Under Pressure, the Ernest Hemingway story. Ernest Miller Hemingway was born on July 21, 1899, in Oak Park, Illinois, a quiet suburban town just outside Chicago. His father, Clarence, was a doctor who instilled in young Ernest a love for the outdoors, hunting, and fishing. His mother, Grace, was a music teacher who hoped her son would pursue the arts, though perhaps not in the way she had imagined. As a young man, Hemingway was restless, eager to experience life beyond the comfortable confines of Oak Park. After graduating from high school, he rejected college and instead took a job as a reporter for the Kansas City Star. The newspaper's style guide emphasized short sentences and vigorous writing, principles that would later become hallmarks of his literary style. When World War I erupted, Hemingway was determined to serve, but poor eyesight kept him from military service. Instead, he volunteered as an ambulance driver for the Red Cross in Italy. On July 8, 1918, near the village of Fossalta di Piave, an Austrian mortar shell exploded nearby, severely wounding the 18-year-old Hemingway. Despite his injuries, he carried an Italian soldier to safety, an act that would haunt and inspire his writing for years to come. The war changed Hemingway forever. He returned to America carrying shrapnel in his legs and nightmares in his mind. The young man who had left Oak Park full of romantic notions about heroism and glory came back understanding the brutal reality of modern warfare. This experience would fuel his greatest works, including A Farewell to Arms and For Whom the Bell Tolls. In 1921, Hemingway married his first wife, Hadley Richardson, and they moved to Paris. These were the golden years of American expatriate life in the City of Light. Hemingway worked as a foreign correspondent while writing fiction, becoming part of the legendary lost generation of writers that included Gertrude Stein, F. Scott Fitzgerald, and Ezra Pound. It was in Paris that Hemingway developed his revolutionary writing style. He stripped away the ornate language that had dominated literature, creating what he called his iceberg theory, the idea that the deeper meaning of a story should emerge through implication rather than explicit description. His prose became spare, muscular, and deceptively simple. In 1926, Hemingway published The Sun Also Rises, his first major novel. The book captured the disillusionment of his generation and established him as a major literary voice. The story of Jake Barnes and his circle of friends wandering through post-war Europe became an instant classic, defining an entire generation's struggle with meaning and purpose. Success brought both acclaim and personal turmoil. Hemingway's marriage to Hadley dissolved, and he began a pattern of multiple marriages that would define his personal life. He married 3 more times, each relationship intense and ultimately troubled. His larger-than-life personality, the drinking, the fighting, the constant pursuit of adventure, became as famous as his writing. Throughout the 1930s, Hemingway continued to write masterpieces while living dangerously. He covered the Spanish Civil War as a correspondent, experiences that inspired For Whom the Bell Tolls. He went on safari in Africa, leading to the green hills of Africa and later the snows of Kilimanjaro. He lived in Key West, where he wrote, fished, and cultivated his image as a rugged American original. World War II saw Hemingway return to his role as war correspondent, covering the D-Day landings and the liberation of Paris. He was present at some of the most significant moments of the 20th century, always with his notebook, always observing, always writing. His experiences gave weight and authenticity to his fiction that few writers could match. In 1952, Hemingway published The Old Man and the Sea, a short novel about an aging Cuban fisherman's struggle with a giant marlin. The book was a triumph, earning him the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction in 1953. A year later, he was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature, cementing his place among the greatest writers in history. But success couldn't silence the demons that had pursued Hemingway since his youth. The same intensity that fueled his writing also drove him towards self-destruction. He drank heavily, suffered from depression, and was plagued by paranoid delusions in his later years. His body, battered by decades of adventure and excess, began to fail him. On July 2, 1961, at his home in Ketchum, Idaho, Ernest Hemingway ended his own life with a shotgun. He was 61 years old. The man who had survived wars, plane crashes, and countless adventures could no longer survive the war within himself. Ernest Hemingway left behind a literary legacy that continues to influence writers today. His spare prose style, his unflinching examination of human nature under pressure, and his ability to find grace in the face of defeat changed American literature forever. He showed us that the simplest words could carry the deepest truths, and that courage isn't the absence of fear, but grace under pressure. More than 60 years after his death, Hemingway's words still resonate. His characters, wounded but not defeated, searching for meaning in a world that often seems meaningless, remain as relevant today as they were when he first wrote them. In a world of increasing complexity, his belief in the power of simple, honest prose continues to inspire writers and readers alike. Ernest Hemingway didn't just write about life. He lived it fully, dangerously, and on his own terms. And in doing so, he created a body of work that will endure as long as people seek to understand the human condition through the power of words.